Carl A. Burris, Harry Horn, Alonzo Z. Larison, F. W. McCabe, Louis G. McGarity, Albert Meyer, Robert J. Nolan, George E. Rennie, John N. Thornton, Neil Thornton. After 4 failed attempts since 1892 by the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers to maintain a local union for inside wiremen in Columbus, Ohio, those 10 electricians organized and were subsequently granted a charter by the IBEW on November 5, 1924, as Local Number 683 with jurisdiction over the inside electrical industry in and around the city. A new local union that has not only endured but prospered as it helped build, develop, and power Central Ohio over the next century to its 100th anniversary in 2024, while championing the needs and well-being of its membership.
Our members build everything around this city. A lot of them probably do the same thing that I used to do with my kids, bore them with idiot stuff like, I've worked in that building, I've worked in that building.
You can't imagine when you first come in this organization, 1, how big it is, and 2, how much everyone cares about making sure that each individual person is successful in here.
683 kept me in business. I wouldn't have had a job ordinary that wasn't union and wasn't looking after its members. It's been very good for me from day one.
Established during the height of the Roaring '20s, shortly after it was chartered, Local 683 gained a new wage scale for its member electricians of $1 per hour, a marked increase from the previous random pay of between 45 cents and 90 cents the unorganized electrical workers were receiving. The local also grew quickly during that period of unprecedented economic growth and development in the United States and Columbus, with many of those members working on construction of the 657-room Neal House Hotel and the 47-story American Insurance Union Citadel skyscraper, which would later come to be known as the Levesque Tower in downtown Columbus. The Great Depression that began with the stock market crash of October 1929 brought building activity in Columbus and around the nation to a standstill, greatly hindering Local 683 and its membership into and throughout much of the 1930s. Construction of the Ohio State Office Building in downtown Columbus, beginning in October 1930, provided some much-needed work. With many of its members serving in the armed forces in all parts of the world during World War II, Local 683 members helped win the fight on the home front as well. Before and after the United States officially entered the war, following the Imperial Japanese attack on the U.S. Naval Base at Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, on December 7, 1941, Local 683 members helped build the Lockbourne Army Airfield, which is now Rickenbacker Air National Guard Base, the large Curtiss-Wright Corporation airplane factory, and the massive Columbus Army Service Forces depot. While at times, more than half of the local's membership also traveled to other IBEW locals to assist with wartime projects in those jurisdictions. By the war's end in 1945 and the balance of the decade, Local 683 had truly established itself as a permanent and vital institution for Central Ohio, its electrical industry, and organized labor.
If you're going to work for a living, or be a construction worker especially, the union's the only way to go.
I mean, this is a brotherhood. People look out for each other.
Learning from the previous generation, I mean, that's what keeps this local going, and that's how we're going to succeed in the future.
During its earliest decades, Local 683 trained new members to become union electricians through the time-honored system of apprenticeship, which provides a hands-on, on-the-job education while working on job sites with experienced journeymen. After World War II, which had halted progress on improving its training, the local resumed instituting an improved, structured educational program under the guidance of its first teacher, Brother Doc Wallace. And after the Central Ohio chapter, National Electrical Contractors Association, or NECA, was formed in 1952 to represent the contracting side of the industry. The two groups worked together to further enhance training so that the local's membership could maintain the highest standards of craftsmanship.
The apprenticeship, they get you thinking in a way that you process things electrically different than somebody out who doesn't really know or has not been involved in our type of apprenticeship.
Working around qualified people was my biggest plus because, well, you know they had the training and you know that they worked with some of the guys that you worked with that were serious about teaching you the trade.
As Local 683 celebrates its 100th anniversary in November 2024, its Earn While You Learn training program has since developed and expanded into a world-class educational curriculum provided by the Electrical Trade Center, which over the years has upgraded its location from the basement of the local's former Union Hall on West 2nd Avenue in Columbus to its current state-of-the-art training center on Gooddale Boulevard on the city's west side, into which it moved in 2001.
I've been very fortunate to have a good partnership with the union, the contractors, the training center to make the changes needed to accommodate that growth.
Local 683 members on the road when we traveled are usually seen as good workers, skilled workers.
From its training center, the Electrical Trade Center administers its inside wireman apprenticeship and installer technician apprenticeship that graduate the industry's most qualified journey-level electrical workers.
We were recognized. I went in places on the road and they'd look at that ticket and say 683, okay. They'd accept you. And they'd give you the work that some people couldn't do.
And as our people go out and do work for different customer bases in the Columbus area, you know, the insurance companies and the banks and the small industrial facilities and so on, and meeting our guys and seeing the skills that they have to get that work done, yeah, that's, there again, that's, you know, you can't put a price on that.
Local 683 thrived throughout the 1950s and 1960s, as continued substantial construction across Columbus and Central Ohio kept members employed on industrial job sites that included General Motors and Westinghouse facilities. A long-term expansion of the Ohio State University campus, highlighted by its new medical center during the early 1950s, and construction of the new Anheuser-Busch Columbus-Budweiser plant beginning in 1966. During that time, Local 683 purchased the property at 23 West 2nd Avenue in 1958 to serve as its Union Hall until 2017, when it moved into its current headquarters on Gooddale Avenue.
It's provided everything for me and my family, you know, economically and, you know, with the health and welfare benefits and knowing that I've got a, you know, secure retirement in the future.
The local also first established and grew fringe benefit programs for its members through collectively bargained contracts with its NECA employers. Beginning in 1965, the local's work agreements have provided members with contractor-funded, life-enhancing benefits that now include health and welfare insurance, death benefits, retirement pensions, and training and education funds. The local also later secured a supplemental retirement annuity fund in 1984.
And I appreciate the retirees long before me, because they're the ones that set our pension up, our health insurance, and all that stuff, all those benefits.
They keep improving, and I've noticed that from the time I was in until now.
Local 683 struggled at times during the late 1970s and 1980s as construction and employment in Central Ohio fluctuated, and the non-union sector made inroads into the local's jurisdiction. But as always, the local persevered, with its members continuing to leave their indelible mark on the landscape while applying their skills to key building projects that included construction of the new Honda automobile plant in Marysville, Ohio, and in addition to the factory during the early and mid-80s. A building boom in and around Columbus provided a respite for the local in the 1990s, during which its members helped build and expand a host of industrial facilities, as well as the new Greater Columbus Convention Center that was completed in March 1993. But the new Y2K millennium ushered in a decade-and-a-half period of consistent unemployment as the result of sluggish construction that was compounded by historic recessions in the early and late 2000s. While many members often traveled to sister IBEW locals for work, occasional breaks in the stagnation within the local 683 jurisdiction were punctuated with significant jobs, such as construction of the new Hollywood Casino in Columbus that opened in 2012. Everything changed for Local 683 in 2015 after Columbus was designated a smart city, and tech firms such as Google and Amazon began building data centers in the local's jurisdiction, providing a flourish of employment for the local's members that endured and escalated through 2024. The local also regained its standing with The Ohio State University, allowing its members to play a key role in the massive transformation of the school's campus, with new medical, educational, and student life facilities. While elsewhere, members helped build a host of new structures that have changed the face of downtown Columbus.
Since 2015, with the growth of the data center industry and other industries, the growth of our local has dramatically increased.
We knew work was going to pick up. We had no clue work was going to pick up this good.
All these places are building these facilities now, and guess who knows how to do them? The IBEW.
With a membership that has grown over the past decade from about 1,100 to 3,000 skilled electrical workers, Local 683 has truly empowered its members through its standing as a political force propelled by a political action committee established during the late 1940s, and its ability to gain beneficial working contracts with life-altering wages, working conditions, and fringe benefits through the strength of collective bargaining.
You're a construction worker. If you don't have a group negotiating your pay for you, negotiating your health insurance for you, negotiating your working conditions for you, and you're doing it all by yourself, well, come on, there's strength in numbers.
The IBEW has been very good at making us understand that politics are important, and we've had members run for office. We have PAC funds that help politicians who vote our way.
I never had to worry about pretty much begging for a raise, whether they were going to give you a raise or not. Worked around guys that were great mechanics in this local.
Across a century, IBEW Local 683 and its membership have powered Central Ohio through the strength of its solidarity and training. Focused squarely on maintaining its standing as the preeminent force in the region's electrical industry, Local 683 is prepared through its steadfast union brotherhood, unmatched educational agenda, and commanding political clout to continue surging forward into its next 100 years.
The old timers used to say anything from a flashlight battery to the northern lights. I got it. And that's what our trade is now, from the small fiber optic type stuff to the large industrial type, where our guys, our apprentices, are trained to do that.
Yeah, I owe everything to this local union. Everything I've got, I owe everything to this local union.
I've been very grateful for the union, for the gratuities they gave me. Like, they gave me hospitalization.
Just excited for the membership on our growth, and the staff here is doing our best to accommodate that growth, and we're excited for the future.